We're at Sun and Fun, and I am getting a rare pleasure to talk to an old friend. My name's Dan Johnson. I'm talking with Larry Burke, and Larry Burke should be known to you as the man who created LAMA. It almost says so on his hat there. And when was that, Larry, when you first founded the Light Aircraft Manufacturers Association?
Well, we did that in 1984 in response to the ultralight community, because at that time it was running pretty wild and there was a lot of aircraft that were coming up being called ultralights that were too heavy. Other ultralights weren't even engineered, so they fell apart. People were getting killed. And at that time, we created the Light Aircraft Manufacturers Association, just like it says, to represent the manufacturers of ultralights at that time. And we created a specification, an engineering specification for construction of these airplanes, plus a quality control manual for the manufacturing of these airplanes. And I don't know whether it was because of that or because we just kept pestering the manufacturers, but they did indeed build much safer airplanes after we got that specification recognized. That's the key words, is recognized by the FAA. And I'm very proud to have a letter on my office wall from the FAA certification department recognizing those documents as important to the, at that time, the ultralight community. Then,
now, when did you do this, Larry? Go back in time a little bit. And you got to want to credit some other people. I know you're always careful to do that. But what year are we talking about?
Well,
when
now
you first did
that letter came in 1984, but about 1980 is when we created this thing, and a gentleman by the name of Bill Sadler, who built a all-metal actual ultralight airplane that did satisfy all the requirements of the ultralight. Bill Sadler, and he did win a prize at Oshkosh for that when he came out in about 1980. And he was one of the board members at that time, and we went forward with him and a couple of other gentlemen, but in time they found interest elsewhere. I continued on and tried to build the organization, but it wasn't until about 1990 something when I met a gentleman by the name of Dan Johnson, who's sitting next to me here, of course, and he was the one that really created the LAMA, Light Aircraft Manufacturing Association, that we have today.
Well, we'll also give a little nod to Tom Gunnarsson, who was the president for a while. Then he went on to FAA, which tells me they thought he was doing something right.
Yeah, right.
And today, LAMA continues on as an organization supporting what is now the light sport aircraft community, even though it's still Light Aircraft Manufacturers Association. Yeah. And that was some great work back then. Now, you're an engineer by training, Larry?
That is correct.
And you've designed an aircraft, have you?
Several aircraft, yes.
And when was the last one? Tell me about one of them. Pick any one of them.
Well, the first one was an ultralight that I put about 110 hours, I think, on. It was powered by the old Cuyuna engine.
Cuyuna engine. We're going back in time with that one, too.
Yeah.
They all had Cuyuna at one time, didn't they? They were the big player.
Exactly. At my age today, everything's back in time. So anyway, following that, I built another airplane we showed here at Sun and Fun during the typhoon. I don't know if you recall that, but we had a big lake out here in Paradise City. And then I sold that, and then following that, I partially constructed, because it's still in my workshop, a 810 scale Orion STA aircraft, 1934 model, and I'm presently building a Newport 28, 0.85 scale, yeah. So I have a lot of fun in my garage when my wife allows me to work there, which lately has not been very frequently. So, because I do report to a high authority, and you can all you men can guess who that is.
So as we look back on that period of time, we see a lot of history in LAMA, but LAMA is still here, and to this day, when I am faced with some dilemma in the operation of the Light Aircraft Manufacturers Association, I send you emails, and at 6 in the morning, I will get a response back from him almost immediately. You're an early riser. You still get a lot of stuff done. And here you are stomping around Sun and Fun,
Well,
the 40th anniversary of it.
Yeah.
You must have been to some of the very first ones,
I
were you?
was. I came down here in the 1970s when Sun and Fun was held in March. But because of the bad weather that this area gets typically in early March, mid-March, they moved it up a month.
Yeah, it can be pretty variable in March.
Yeah, but those were fun days. I mean, the entire Sun and Fun was gathered around that area out here. They hadn't developed this area yet, and then they moved all the ultralights out.
Well, that's a good segue. So you are seeing, we are sitting in what we now refer to as Paradise City. Used to be known at one time as the ultralight area. Well, it used to be nothing, as you said. Then it was the ultralight area. Then it became the light plane area, and today we're just tagging it Paradise City. And I'm guessing it looks so different to you that you hardly recognize it in some ways with this road going through it now and everything.
No, the exciting part, that road didn't go through. That goes through to another facility over there. The interesting thing here, Dan, and the industry's got to thank you for that, is creating this LSA Mall, which is a shopping center for all of the aircraft that are usually the best sellers and the best performers in the community. You ought to be thanked for that invention, because that is the thing that is, as you well know, that's your venue at Sebring, at Oshkosh, at Sun and Fun, and wherever else. Oh, we used to go to AOPA too, and that's the best thing that's ever happened to the selling and the exposure of light sport aircraft, in my opinion.
Put them wingtip to wingtip, let people look at them. The concept comes from the Auto Mall, which does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And the concept is, well, they may not all buy that product, but they'll go buy that one. And the people that came to look at that one might buy this one. So it kind of works for everybody. And I've got to give a lot of credit back to the community of producers, many of whom have been shepherded along the way by Larry as the head of LAMA and those that followed him, because they are willing to do that. You have to give credit to these guys, knowing that they're going to put their airplane out there, and it's got to be pretty good for them to say, sure, look at them all and pick the one that's best for you. Some of them are going to pick mine. Good for them. Good for all of them.
No, that kind of community enhances the sale of a product. Any marketing guy will tell you that, of course. You always put a gas station across the corner from another one so that you can keep the people in the area, right?
Gives them a choice.
Yeah,
Everybody loves a choice.
Yeah.
And choices we've got in the light sport community.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, it's been great to talk with you today, Larry. We are here in Paradise City at Sun and Fun. The second year Paradise City has looked this way, and it's got some special new features to it. But a lot of that, well, none of it would have happened were it not for many of the great volunteers here in Paradise City. I got to give a mention to Dave Piper, who's been the chairman of this area for 22 years. A volunteer giving his time, and a lot of his time. Same thing you did for LAMA, and those early years must have been some real grind, I'm thinking, and it's what I do today, and it's what makes a lot of aviation great. So thanks to all the volunteers out there, wherever you work as a volunteer, whatever air show, whatever job, important or menial, most of these events could not happen without volunteers. One of them is Larry Burke. You can get more information about the Light Aircraft Manufacturers Association at lama.bz. And I've got lots of information on these aircraft. You can find all that on bydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. Thanks so much for joining Larry Burke and I here at Sun and Fun.
Thank you.